News 4 tonight has learned that federal agents have now joined the D.C. police investigation into the alleged disappearance of dozens of handguns from a private security firm. That firm is Executive Security. It employs 400 people. It's been awarded more than $2 million in government contracts. Police say 160 weapons are registered to the company, most of them 38 caliber handguns. Company owner Margot Briggs says she believes the investigation of her firm is politically motivated.
Well, this has happened over a period of 2.5 years. It just didn't happen in the last 30 days. And it's been reported during each time.
You mean every time there was a missing weapon, you reported it?
Yes.
Then why has it suddenly come to light at this time?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. But I'm waiting to find out.
Ms. Briggs' comments were made during an exclusive interview with News 4's Barbara Harrison. We'll have more of the interview with Margot Briggs tomorrow on News 4 at 6. 3 children died last week when fire swept through a building that was owned by Russell Hughes. Hughes owns a number of rooming houses in the city where dozens of people live in cramped quarters. Tonight, Hughes has been fined $15,000 for at least 150 housing code violations at his properties. Pat Collins has the story.
Over the weekend, city officials inspected 8 rooming houses operated by Hughes. One rooming house they closed down immediately because they said the place was too dangerous to live. At the others, inspectors say they found about 150 housing violations, including emergency violations like faulty wiring, gas leaks, faulty boilers, defective smoke detectors, and overcrowding. City officials said that Hughes had no rooming house licenses and that he had no certificates of occupancy. The city has fined Hughes $15,000, $14,500 for not having the permits, $500 for not having smoke detectors.
However, we are reviewing the inspection reports, and we will take the necessary enforcement actions at that time.
News 4 cameras were there yesterday when Hughes was served with the violations. Hughes claims he couldn't repair the buildings because the tenants didn't pay the rent.
You kept a lot of people there that didn't have anywhere else to go?
Didn't have nowhere else to go and couldn't pay rent.
Hughes came to the attention of the housing inspectors last week when 3 children died in a fire at one of his rooming houses in Northeast. Fire department officials said they found no evidence of smoke detectors in the house. Hughes says the smoke detectors were there. City officials say they may move to criminally prosecute Mr. Hughes, or they may move to shut down his business for good. What officials do, they say, depends on how fast Mr. Hughes moves to fix up his rooming houses. I'm Pat Collins, News 4 Washington.
D.C. housing inspectors say that they're about to start conducting surprise raids on rooming houses. They say that will encourage citizens to report illegal rooming houses in the district.
All this week in her special report, Lee Thompson has been pointing out abuse and neglect in the home health care industry in her series of reports she calls Who's Taking Care of Mom and Dad? Tonight, the story of how some home health care workers prey on the elderly.
The last 3 that sent me was bad to drink. One was on the dope real bad.
Sally Mitter can barely get through the day without help, but she says some of the aid sent to help her stole from her. Lily Gassaway has lived in Washington since 1918, but nothing was ever taken from her until last month when she says a home health aide stole the engagement ring her late husband gave her 47 years ago.
I wanted to keep it because he had passed on, and I wanted to keep it to remember him, you know.
Even if an agency seriously wants to screen a worker, it sometimes is impossible to do. Agencies cannot get access to, by and large, criminal records.
Some don't even try to check out workers, like AAA Adventist Nursing Care, which sent Channel 4 researcher Sheila Duffy to care for a seriously ill man without even making a basic background check on her.
I didn't know nothing about it.
James Armstrong's former aide, John Davis, is accused of writing dozens of checks to himself over Armstrong's signature and keeping the money, more than $20,000. During the time that Davis was caring for Armstrong, he was arrested on a charge that he had committed an indecent act with an 11-year-old girl. He later pleaded guilty to a lesser charge. And there were accusations that he was a heavy drug user. His supervisor never told the elderly man that. His supervisor at SRT MedStaff was his half-sister. Davis denies the charges. He would not talk to us about this case because of a pending lawsuit. Neither would the company. Lee Thompson, Channel 4 News.
Tomorrow, Lee will report on what News 4 tonight has confirmed that a woman from Southeast D.C. who died 2 weeks ago may have been yet another victim of a deadly ambulance delay. As Jack Clordy reports, it apparently was a case of bad information and an address mix-up.
Lisa Wills was only 20, but she died the night of November 1st. She left behind a 1-year-old son, a 2-year-old daughter, and a group of distraught family and friends who blame slow emergency response for her death. The transcript of the 911 calls obtained by News 4 shows that an ambulance got to Lisa Wills in 7 to 9 minutes. But it also shows that help should have gotten to her more quickly. The first call came in at 8:40. The transcript confirms Mary Wills' account.
I say my sister fainted and they can't get her to breathe.
There were 2 more calls to 911 in the next minute. In each one, the caller stated that Lisa Wills was not breathing. What happened next could have been crucial to Lisa Wills' survival. The fire department dispatcher was required to assign this case a priority, and the transcripts show that he didn't assign it a high enough priority. He put it out as a fainting, as a priority 1. But fire department protocol requires that when a patient has trouble breathing, it's put out as a top priority, a priority M. In priority M cases, an engine company is dispatched immediately because a fire engine can usually get help to the scene in 3 to 4 minutes. But it took another frantic call from the family before an engine was sent, and it went to 13th Place instead of 13th Street. Meanwhile, the ambulance also went to the wrong address, eyewitnesses say, and it arrived on the scene 7 to 9 minutes after the first call. But the crew was unable to save Lisa Wills. She died at 9:35 p.m. Jack Clordy, News 4 Washington.
The fire department maintains that its ambulance crew reached Lisa Wills in a reasonable amount of time and did. Tonight, D.C. Council members Frank Smith and Wilhelmina Roloff are attacking the Board of Appeals and Review for allowing Celebrity Hall to stay open. 2 years ago, the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs recommended the hall's license be revoked because of violence and neighborhood complaints. But the appeals board ignored that action and allowed the hall to stay open while the owner appealed. Smith told News 4's Pat Lawson the board exceeded its authority.
The Consumer Regulatory Affairs Office did its job. They said the license ought to be revoked. And then this group, acting out of something that I think they had no basis to do in law, decided to keep it open anyway. And I think it's a shame, really. And it's about time for them to have to come before the public and explain what it is that they did and why they did what they did.
The bill being co-sponsored by Wilhelmina Roloff and Calvin Smith would give that is Frank Smith, would give the council power to confirm all future appointees to the board. Meanwhile, Smith is predicting quick passage of his bill to slap a curfew on kids who go to public dance halls. This comes after the Saturday night stabbing of 12-year-old Otis Nelson inside the club. D.C. police are trying to figure out why a security guard at the hall led police to believe no one inside had been hurt. The police report says the victim wasn't located until 40 to 45 minutes after the attack. It is reported now, though, that an investigation is demonstrating that there is some dispute in terms of whether or not the stabbing happened, in fact, inside or outside the club. In the meantime, Nelson is in serious condition tonight at Children's Hospital.